Domestic politics now. The Republican frontrunner who brags about being a Washington outsider is today rubbing elbows in Washington. A couple of hours from now, Donald Trump is set to give what his campaign suggests is a major policy speech. And this afternoon, he met with Republican lawmakers on Capitol Hill. Among those who met with Trump, the senator from Alabama, Jeff Sessions, who has lined up side by side with him and endorsed him. Donald Trump today told the Washington Post newspaper that Senator Sessions will lead his team of foreign policy advisors. Other lawmakers at the so-called Trump lunch include several members of Congress, as well as the senator from Arkansas, Tom Cotton. The meeting did not include any members of the Republican leadership. Still, analysts say today's events are meant to show a whole new side of Donald Trump, a presidential side.
This is all presidential kind of stuff. I mean, you'll have a picture of him around a table meeting with lawmakers, and then he'll meet the press, and then he gives a speech which is being billed as a serious policy speech. There are even reports that Trump has written this speech down, which is completely un-Trump-like.
That would be a first, and we shall see this afternoon, 5:45 Eastern Daylight Time. Of course, we'll have coverage here on Fox News Channel as he speaks to AIPAC. The Democratic frontrunner Hillary Clinton gave a speech to that same pro-Israel group earlier today. The other GOP candidates, Ted Cruz and John Kasich, are also set to address the group this evening. But it's Donald Trump's speech that is no doubt getting the most attention after he faced criticism for saying that he would, initially saying he would be neutral in trying to hammer out a deal between the Israelis and the Palestinians. This speech this afternoon comes on the eve of the next primary contest in Arizona and Utah. Polls show Donald Trump leading double digits in Arizona, where immigration is a top issue, if not the top issue. But in Utah, surveys show Ted Cruz is topping Donald Trump by double digits. Heidi Prisbilla is with us. She's a senior political reporter for USA Today newspaper. I guess he held an event while we were listening to Castro and Obama there, but he talked about some of his products. I'm told he gave somebody a job in a media scrum. There wasn't much policy or substance to that. I guess we're expecting something a little different this afternoon, right?
Right, Jeff. Well, the goal here is really twofold, and you hit on the first one, which was that this is all an effort to show that Donald Trump, while he's the outsider, he can come to Washington and he can work with people and he can be presidential. But in terms of his audience tonight, I think you should expect this to be one of the most critical forums that Donald Trump has ever spoken before. As you know, in the past, his rallies are mostly, a lot of eager supporters with some protesters, but this group is going to be a lot more skeptical, and the reason why is because Donald Trump has basically a black box to them. He's an inherent contradiction in many ways, just because he has said, I want to remain neutral on the issue of Israel, but at the same time, more recently, he said, I'm totally pro-Israel. So what does that mean? This constituency comes into this very skeptical of him for a number of reasons, but that being chief among them.
And it's not lost in the politics of the day. Hillary Clinton has used this on the stump and used it quite forcefully, saying first he was for being neutral, then he was pro-Israel, but you really don't know what you're getting, is her point. And actually, people on his side of the aisle, many of them are saying the same thing. Do you anticipate something that's written down and maybe read from a teleprompter this afternoon for AIPAC, or what do you anticipate?
Well, I think, first of all, he's got to get into the weeds a bit on Israel policy, because it's not just like on these specific questions that I outlined, but he's had more of an isolationist, cast to him from the very beginning, and many people want to see that he's not neutral, that he is a strongly pro-Israel, and they're not going to give him a good reception unless he's very specific about that. For example, he's not answered questions like whether he supports moving the embassy to Jerusalem. He was booed for this in front of a GOP Jewish audience. So there's going to be a lot of skepticism on that. And then also, before that same audience, he was skeptical about whether Israel even wants a peace deal. So it's going to take a lot for him to win over this audience, and he may have to speak from a teleprompter because, as you know, it's not his typical style of speaking to get really into the weeds on policy, but that's what they're going to want.
One of the things about which everybody has to have comment is the matter of the two-state solution. It has been suggested that some will say one thing on a two-state solution and believe something else. Be that as it may, what you say does matter as part of a daily discourse. Where is he on a two-state solution?
You got me.
Yeah, I don't know either.
Yeah, he's kind of black, but actually, Chef, if you go on his website, there's not even like the thinnest read of a clue as to where he stands on Israel policy. And of course, during the debates, there's also, he's not given much indication on this. When he talks about the Middle East, for example, he's raised concerns as well about talking about, you know, allowing Putin and Assad to work it out in Syria. So there's just, you know, many more questions than answers that he's provided.
Heidi Prisbala, senior political reporter for USA Today. Thank you.
Thank you.